For a long time, Jake had heard stories. The dark web, the forbidden corner of the internet. His friends had mentioned it, half joking, half serious, always with that smirk like they knew something he didn't. Jake wasn't the type to jump into dangerous stuff without knowing what he was getting into, but the curiosity, it gnawed at him. So one night, after a few beers with his buddies, he downloaded the Tor browser. Just for fun, he told himself. He clicked through a few random links, nothing crazy. Weird chat rooms, shady marketplaces selling things he didn't care about. It felt like any other corner of the internet, just a little darker, a little stranger. Then his friends started sending him more links. Check this out, bro. One of them was just a URL, no description, nothing. He hesitated for a second, but clicked it anyway. This time it was different. The page opened to a forum with a picture of a creepy, distorted clown. It was unsettling, but not enough to make him back out, just odd. Jake scrolled through some of the threads. People talking about secrets, hidden knowledge. One post caught his attention. It said, "Want to see something real? Click here." He clicked it. The next thing he knew, his wallpaper changed. He froze. The image on his screen was him, sitting in his room alone. He could tell it was taken recently, and it was so precise, so accurate. It was a picture of his exact setup, from the exact angle he had been sitting earlier, scrolling through his computer. His heart skipped a beat. Panicked, Jake slammed his laptop shut. What the hell was this? He opened it again. The same picture was there, staring back at him. His hands were shaking. He stood up, looking around the room, hoping to shake the feeling off. Nothing. No one's here. Jake told himself it was just a prank. He glanced outside. His neighbors were in their houses. The street was empty. But then there was a sound, a soft creak from his bedroom. He froze. His eyes darted to the door, his pulse quickening. His heart was pounding in his ears. The creaking sound continued, slow and deliberate. He took a step toward the door, hesitated, and then slowly, cautiously, he opened it. Nothing. Just the darkness of his bedroom, the air thick with tension. He let out a sigh, laughing nervously to himself. He was just being paranoid, that was it. Then he turned around, and that's when he saw it. On his bed, sitting in the exact spot where he'd been minutes before, was a figure. It wasn't human, at least not entirely. It was tall, unnaturally tall. And its body was twisted, limbs contorted in ways that didn't seem natural. The face was blank, just a void, like the thing had no features, just emptiness. Jake's stomach dropped. The figure didn't move. It just sat there, staring, unblinking. His legs felt weak, his throat dry. He tried to speak, but nothing came out. His mind was racing. This was impossible. No one could have gotten into his room. It was locked. He had been alone this whole time. The figure tilted its head slowly, like it was studying him. Then it spoke. Its voice was warped, a distorted, hollow sound, like it was coming from deep underground. "We've been watching you, Jake." Jake stumbled back, his heart hammering in his chest. He tried to run, but his body was frozen, like he couldn't move. His eyes never left the figure. "You shouldn't have clicked." The voice was getting closer, echoing in his head. And then, just like that, the figure disappeared. The room was silent again, but Jake didn't feel alone. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was still there, watching him. The next morning, when Jake went to check his computer again, the image was still there. That picture of him, sitting alone in his room, but this time a new message popped up on the screen. "We know everything about you, Jake. We'll be seeing you soon." And that's the last time anyone ever heard from Jake. His account was deleted from the dark web, but the link he clicked, it's still out there, somewhere waiting.